Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video I'm very excited to do. We are going to finally get back into, it's been a little bit since I've done one, but we're going to do a what's their favorite candle. And this one I've had on my list completed for a couple of months. And I just kept pushing it back. It got pushed out of September, October, November. Some candles have been switched out at this point. I tried a couple different attacks on this video because it's kind of a bigger cast. And so what would work for a couple wouldn't work for some. So we figured it out. But what we're going to be doing today is what's their favorite candle, the Brat Pack edition. So as you guys know, I probably shared, I'm an 80s baby. I was born in 1982. November, so my birthday is coming soon. And yeah, I loved movies from the 80s. I loved John Hughes movies. I just grew up on them. And so even though they're 30 years in the past, I still think about them all the time. I reference them all the time, and I kind of can gauge my age based on if people get my references. I'm like, oh, I'm way older than you. Cool. So it's kind of helpful if you're a pop culture person. So I hope I did a good job on this video. I feel like this is going to be mixed thoughts. It's either going to be, you know what I'm talking about or you don't. And so if you know what I'm talking about, you'll know if I did a good job. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, this might be super boring. But there were 8 characters technically considered the Brat Pack, which was a name given to these young actors who starred in these super huge films, namely The Breakfast Club and St. Elmo's Fire, which both came out in 1985. So I was just about 2. So, I didn't go watch them when they first came out. But I have a family that, just really enjoys their 80s nostalgia. So they were introduced to my life at a very young age. I can get into those stories another time. This is going to be a big video. So what I decided to do was a then and now. So a candle that kind of reminded me of them then, Brat Pack time, and then now, because they're all very mature adults, with families that have grown up, and now they're entering their, I don't want to say, they're older than, they were back then. So I don't think a candle could fit them both as a Brat Pack member and then also just now what they're doing. So I follow a lot of these people still. If they still are acting or in TV shows, I'm always like, oh yeah, like John from The Breakfast Club, Judd Nelson, love him. So did you guys know that most of the Brat Pack members didn't really care for the name? I'm sitting in front of a window, so I keep kind of going near my blind. So as you're seeing lines, there's nothing wrong with me. It's just, I have bad lighting. They didn't really care for the name. Some of them didn't care at all, but some of them really actually didn't like it. And then actually, as I was doing the research, I kind of thought of the Brat Pack as Judd Nelson, Molly Ringwald, Ali Sheedy, Anthony Michael Hall, and Emilio Estevez. But I also kind of did consider some of the St. Elmo's Fire people, like Andrew McCarthy and, I forgot, like Rob Lowe. So we're going to talk about everyone that, when I was making sure to do my due diligence on research, made sure I had their names right, because again, it was a long time ago that I got it right. So some of these are probably going to make you laugh. Some of these are probably going to be like, where was she going with that? So let's just jump right in. We're going to start with Rob Lowe. He was probably my second favorite. Oh, we're going to do guys and then girls. I really did kind of separate this out. He's probably my second favorite guy in the Brat Pack. I watched him the most throughout, the years and things. So what did I go with? So for him, it was hard because he wasn't in The Breakfast Club. He was in St. Elmo's Fire, and he, was kind of like he had a, hard knock life and a child young and, all those things. So I went a totally different direction with Rob Lowe. I didn't really have any, and again, a disclaimer to these videos is I always have to pick candles that I actually have on hand. So, I do follow him more as over the years recently. And I always think of him, when I think of Rob Lowe, I think about 2 things. So those are the candles I picked. So I think about the fact that he's like an Atkins ambassador, which is funny because he's never really had a weight issue throughout his time as an actor. So I gave him Ice Cream Bar because I remember he did an interview with someone when he was first coming out to be an Atkins ambassador, which, as we know, Atkins is more like protein-based, that he missed ice cream. Ice cream was his favorite thing. So I gave him ice cream bar to talk about like his Atkins time, like in the spotlight. So it doesn't really have a lot to do with St. Elmo's Fire, but the notes are glazed chocolate wafer, vanilla ice cream, graham cracker crunch. I do believe this really does smell like ice cream. So that one is his first candle. And then of course he was in The West Wing. And so I gave him a Patriotic Candle because that was like a show I think a lot more people were more familiar with. And so he got Stars and Stripes Firecracker Pop. Firecracker Pop is red cherry, fresh citrus, and juicy berry. So those are the two candles that I gave to Rob Lowe. Those were his favorite candles then and now. Okay, Emilio Estevez. So I did like him. He was in just The Breakfast Club, right? I don't think he was in, yeah, he wasn't in St. Elmo's Fire. That's what I'm saying. It was kind of a little bit confusing. So what I remember him in first was of course The Breakfast Club. And he was, remember in that show, they were in detention and they all had like a different role. And back in the 80s and the 90s, we really did follow that. I think now it's just a completely different culture, but you had your nerds and jocks and your burnouts and your princesses and your, you know, emo kids. And so he was the sport kid. So I did have this candle from Goose Creek. So I gave him Varsity Jacket. And this doesn't have any notes, but it really just smells sporty fresh, like a men's deodorant. So Varsity Jacket is for The Breakfast Club, for Emilio Estevez. He was the jock. And then I didn't really have a now, but like as I was growing up, this was even probably more famous for me. He was the coach on the Mighty Ducks. So I gave him Let's Get Excited Marshmallow Fluff, which really doesn't have anything to do with him as a person, but just the fact that it had little ducks on it. Again, a loose-based connection. Fluffy marshmallow, creamy vanilla, and whipped sweet cream. So that's his now candle, because that was really one of my favorite movies, The Mighty Ducks. As we keep moving here, I'm sure it's going to get even weirder, just so you know. Okay, Anthony Michael Hall, he was the nerd. He wrote the letter for The Breakfast Club. Like, I really always love that intro where he's reading the letter that they left for the principal. You mess with the bull, you get the horns, principal, you guys remember? And so I remembered him as Rusty Griswold, but he being a younger kid at that time. So for me, again, I didn't really have any candles that was like, reminded me of someone that was a scholar or brainiac or anything. So I gave him cereal and cartoons because he was really young when I remember watching him in movies, like, again, going back to like those, the Vacation series movies. I don't know what the first one was, with Chevy Chase. So this has notes of toasted cinnamon, crunchy cereal, ice cold milk, sugar crystals. And it really just smells more like Red Hots or Big Red Gum. And then he's coming out, he's going to be in a new, so I live with a person that really loves their scary movies. So I know a lot more about scary movies than I ever knew before. But he's going to be in the newest Halloween reboot. So for that, I gave him Haunted Nights. Just because this is a very strong men's scent. It's Scary Clary Sage, Moonlit Mahogany, Vanishing Verbena, Natural Essential Oils. And it just smells like a man. It smells like a clean man. This is like a cologne, not just the deodorant. So we're going to give him that because, when you're smelling that, you're really thinking of someone, deep and mysterious and dark. And so that really works in that respect. And my favorite of the men in the Brat Pack would be Judd Nelson. Don't know why, but I just really like him. He was John in The Breakfast Club. He was also in St. Elmo's Fire. So far, he would have been the only guy that was in both movies, I think. And so for him, for The Breakfast Club, this was easy. I had this candle, leather, because he always had that leather bomber jacket that he gave Claire at the end of the movie, and then she gave him the earring, remember? And so even though this one smells kind of weird, I think it probably would smell very authentic to like a man, with like he was like, he smoked cigarettes with his paw and all that stuff. This kind of has a lot more of a grit to it than just a clean man scent like the like mahogany teakwood type of candle. So this really fits into that bad boy type of thing. So I'm so glad I had a candle on hand for that. And then now he does just play a lot more sophisticated roles. So I gave him a very sophisticated man scented candle in sweater weather. I'm not calling him a grandpa, but he's getting up there in his grandpa years. Like he could be a grandpa if he wanted to be a grandpa. So the notes are fresh sage, juniper berries, aromatic eucalyptus, and fresh woods. Yeah, and this just smells like, you know, this boy cleaned up and he did good. So, you know, he turned out. Doesn't happen to everyone, but happened to him. I overthought that. That's okay. So the last guy, and he was only in St. Elmo's Fire, is Andrew McCarthy. And I did really, probably as a younger girl, thought he was the best of them just because I always liked the good guy. I don't know why. I always picked wrong, though. Like when you're watching a TV show and there was like one girl and two guys and who's she going to end up with? Like Brenda and Dylan. Yeah, that I wanted Brenda and Dylan to end up together, not Kelly and Dylan, and now 2-0. I could go on and on, but I won't. So he was always the guy that like either never got the girl or the guy that, you know, was like the rich kid. Like that's the role he played in these movies. So I really did like him as Blaine, and that was in Pretty in Pink, I think. His role in St. Elmo's Fire was just okay. He kind of was like wanting someone else's wife type of thing. I don't remember what his name was in that movie, but anyways, so it was just kind of like he was like a character in the 80s that I feel like a lot of people did like relate to. So for the then candle, back then, I give him Palm Trees in Paradise. He was just either the rich kid or the good guy or the, you know, he didn't play any of those like dark roles. So the notes on this are summer musk, refreshing aloe, bright citrus, and eucalyptus leaves. And it smells really good. I really like this candle. I'm so glad I picked it up because it's not a candle I would have gravitated towards, but it really does just smell like money and shopping and like, you know, you are like, you've got on cologne that probably costs $400 and it just smells good. So it's just like that really perfect mix. And then, you know, now, like I said, he's probably still in that sophisticated vein. So we're going to give him bow ties and bourbon, kind of like Palm Trees in Paradise grew up. They would be bow ties and bourbon. And this has notes of hint of bourbon, fresh bergamot, splash of citrus with essential oils. And again, this is just, it's more than just a clean deodorant men's scent. There's something else in here. I always think that booze note kind of just makes it a little bit more mature, a little bit more grown. So Andrew McCarthy did okay. That's his now candle. And now we move into the three women that were a part of the Brat Pack. So we'll go with Demi Moore first. And with Demi Moore, I did really like her in St. Elmo's Fire. She was not in the Breakfast Club. But I really did like her in St. Elmo's Fire. She just played that 80s chick, you know, like party, no plans for the future, but also like really hating, even though she looked perfect, she wasn't perfect. So I feel like a lot of people really connected with her all throughout her movies. But of course, because when I was like 7 years old, I sounded like her. Just kidding. My family would tell me my voice, because I sound like this is a little girl. I know, that I had her voice. So I always go back to the movie. So I gave her Wicked Apple, but only because it's decorated in ghosts. And that was my favorite Demi Moore movie. Way more than St. Elmo's Fire. I love this one. And I love this candle. So this was like a really easy choice for me, even though I didn't know if it was like perfect. But it's just very much like a beautiful caramel apple scent. I really feel like this one, to me, smells more like the Charms Caramel Apple Pops than a caramel apple from the fair, but it's just a really good play on this scent. It's very strong. But yeah, I gave her this candle just because of the ghosts, and I loved her in Ghosts. That was just my favorite movie when I was younger. So, and I wasn't sad to have people say to me I sounded like the beautiful Demi Moore in Ghost. But anyways, now I gave her one of my Mom's Day candles because I really love her relationship she has with her daughters, Rumor, Tallulah, and Willis. No, Willis was her last name. What's the last? Rumor? Scout. Willis was her last name, duh. But they all had such cool names, and so she gets champagne toast, but it's just a thank you, Mom, because, you know, she kind of looks to be the same age as her daughter sometimes. And when she was married to Ashton Kutcher, she was married to someone that was more her daughter's age. That was all just so fun. So she just has lived such a good life. I loved learning more about her. there was a lot to learn about Demi Moore. She was the biggest star of all 8 of them throughout her career. And she did play some really good movies. I mean, you know, G.I. Jane, and she was in so many good movies. There's a lot of movies that you don't realize that she's in. I mean, there was some movies that I wasn't allowed to watch when I was little, like what was it, Striptease or something. But for the most part, she was one of those actors that out of that whole bunch that I liked the longest and for the most part. But yeah, we know what champagne toast smells like. Bubbly champagne, sparkling berries, juicy tangerine. But I just gave her this one because I had it left over for Mother's Day. So again, just talking about now, we kind of more think about Demi Moore as a mom. And then we'll go to Ali Sheedy, and I just really hope that you guys find this funny. So I wanted to do something to tie her to the Breakfast Club because I wasn't a princess. I would have been more, what did they call her? Let me think. The princess, the jock, the nerd, you know, the basket case. I don't know. That's not what they called her, but I just blanked on it. I kind of have that movie memorized if it was playing. But I love the scene in the movie where she's in the back and they're all just like, what's she doing back there? And she's drawing a picture and she needs snow. Do you guys remember? So what did she use? She like itched her head and used dandruff. And so it made me think of that when I saw this candle. I have a candle called Winter Lodge, which I'm imagining is someone stuck in a lodge and it's snowing pretty hard. So that made me think of this candle when I was trying to think of a candle that would make sense to tie to the Breakfast Club part. And again, I just didn't have a lot of emo candles or basket case candles, but that kind of was my favorite part. I also love her makeover part in the Breakfast Club because I just kind of always felt like that was what any social group, you were just a little bit of lipstick and mascara away from being a part of another one. And so it was really about making friends based on your personality, not what you look like. But I just love that part of the movie where they're all staring at her, she's drawing, and then she like itches her head and like lets dandruff fall in her picture. I mean, it's all so gross, but super funny. And then, you know, I loved her in this movie called The Maid. That was also in the 80s. That kind of felt a little bit more then. I don't really know that I've seen her in a lot of things recently. So I went ahead and just did a simple Google search. Like, I'm seeing all the same shadows that you all are. I don't know why that's going on. So anyways, we're almost done. So we're just going to push through. But yeah, so I just had to kind of research her, and apparently she's just like a super like avid coffee lover. So I went ahead and gave her, this Coffeehouse Candle because it's a sophisticated coffee blend. It is, no, it's fresh coffee, chocolate, and caramel. And so, you know, it said it on Wikipedia, so it's got to be true. And finally, and I probably, again, love her to pieces. So, Molly Ringwald is probably the most famous Brat Pack actor in terms of like, she's the one that comes to mind right away. So, hold on one second. I'm going to get rid of it. It's not getting any better, friends. Sorry. I know that's super distracting. I'm going to have to figure out a different place to sit because it's like the sun is coming through the window. I opened it. I closed it. This is the best because, again, if I opened it, they were going through my face. And I just thought, that's super distracting. I wouldn't want to watch that. So I apologize. But last character, and then we can finish up this video, and hopefully I can just wait for the sun to move, is Molly Ringwald. And she played Claire, the princess, in The Breakfast Club. And she wasn't actually in St. Elmo's Fire. So that was another character where she only played in one. Actually, the only two characters that played in both that I can think of are Judd Nelson and then Ali Sheedy. So there's that information too that's just coming to mind now. So my two favorite things that she did were 16 Candles. I liked her in The Breakfast Club as well. And then also The Secret Life of an American Teenager. She was the mom in that. And so I loved her in both. So I had to go with Pretty in Pink because I really couldn't think of anything, but she did wear pink in The Breakfast Club. So I went with this very pretty pink candle. And it happens to be one of my Aldi's candles, Huntington Home Rosewater Sangria. And this smells really good. And, you know, it kind of does actually smell, it has like a feminine, not perfumey note, but a little bit with the rose water. Like it could be a part of a perfume. And the sangria, you know, again, it's just pink. That was really kind of why I went with it. And then she did spend some time, I'm going to quit putting candles over there to reflect in my face. Sorry about that. she did spend some time in France. And I had this candle and I was trying to find something that even connected her more to the show, The Secret Life of American Teenager. But I do know like she went to France with her younger daughter and she actually spent some time in France. And a lot of people say that when she went away to France, I think she might have met her husband or one of her husbands, I'm not sure. But that was when, you know, it was at like the height of her career and she made that choice to do so. So who knows which movies we saw with another character and that could have been played by Molly Ringwald if she wouldn't have done that. It was a short time. But so I gave her this World Traveler. It's from Goose Creek and it's France World Traveler Marshmallow Macaroon. So I thought that kind of fit her perfectly. And that was a lot. You guys, I apologize for it being so long, but how do you think I did? I know there could have probably been candles I could have thought of that would work better, but I just went with what I had on hand. So I hope you found this to be kind of fun. Again, I love to use my own collection, not just do hauls here. So sometimes you'll find these videos randomly coming out for me, but I do just love chatting about candles and talking with you all in the comments. So let me know if there's another show that you want me to do. I'm still working on a few because again, it's what I have on hand, what kind of comes to mind that would work. But I love doing these. So let me know if there's any that you think of. Let me know what you think how I did on this one. I hope I kind of added some type of pictures, graphics, or whatever. Wish I could use the music, but I don't know how to do that. But you know, the song you think of for the Brat Pack is one with the fist at the end of the Brat Pack movie, or of the Breakfast Club, where he's walking away. Because he got the girl, and like I said, that's just kind of what those 80s movies kind of resounded for me. Just that simple life, like they're on opposite ends of the school cafeteria, and they found a way to come together, and it's perfect, and it fixed all their child angst problems, you know. So let me know down below what you think, how you think I did, and I will see you guys in a video tomorrow. Take care. Bye.